Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Family Talk Time. I'm Pastor Brad. Thank you for inviting me into your home and to your family devotional. I want to continue some of the discussion that Pastor Eddie was talking about just this past Sunday as we started a new sermon series called Faith Matters. Pastor Eddie's going to be talking us and walking us through the book of James. And I hope you had a chance to tune into that. If you haven't, you can always go back to parkridgechurch.com/media and pull up all of our past sermons. And I hope you're tuning in live every Sunday at 10:15. And we miss you guys. We're going to be doing these live streams until we can be back together again. But we're starting in the book of James. The last Sunday's message was a matter of steadfastness. And Pastor Eddie was preaching out of James chapter 1, verses 1 through 18. So I hope you had a chance to see that. If not, look at it, because it does coincide with our family talk time. And you don't necessarily need Pastor Eddie's sermon to do family talk time. All you need is the Bible and have a prayer time and a time of singing, which I've got an announcement about how you can sing as a family a little bit later on. But once you watch Pastor Eddie, you're going to see that he picked out some qualities there in that first chapter of James that we should have as Christians. And that's a life of stability through God's wisdom, humility. Christians should always be humble. And then also a life of steadfastness. And then also Christians should be truthful. We should always be truth tellers and spreading the truth of Jesus Christ. And so the way Family Talk Time works is very, very simple. We give you some questions to ponder. Then we give you a scripture that kind of goes along with, supports the James chapter 1 and the questions. And then we give you a big God question. And then we give you the answer. And as always, I'll end up with a little bit of a magic trick toward the end. So let's get started with our questions. Pastor Eddie did a great job asking 4 questions at the end of his sermon. I just want to repeat them here because I think they're just fantastic questions to talk about as a family. Okay, but before I give you the 4 questions, I want to have you guys designate somebody that can pause the recording to give you time to talk. And I want to also give you the scripture to read that goes with James chapter 1. The scripture can be found in 1 Corinthians 15, verse 58. 1 Corinthians 15, 58. So designate somebody that can read that scripture and then just go through these 4 questions. Question 1. Pastor Eddie asks us, what is right in my relationship with God? And hopefully there's something that you can say that's right, and Pastor Eddie says, let's celebrate that. And then the second question is, what's wrong in my life, in my relationship with God? Maybe an attitude or the way I'm thinking, or so what needs to be worked on? And to that, we need to confess. So I hope that as a family you're being honest and truthful with each other and being vulnerable and just and maybe can articulate some things that you need to work on. Number 3, what's confused in my life, in my walk of God? And Pastor Eddie just says if you're confused about something, ask for help. Ask others. Kids, you can ask your parents. And so what's right? What I need to celebrate? What's wrong? What do I need to confess? What am I maybe confused? Ask for help. And then the 4th one is, what's missing in my spiritual life? And Pastor Eddie encouraged us to think about our reading the Bible, our prayer time, maybe our service to others and serving the Lord. And he just simply said, if there's something missing, then start it. And maybe you as a family can talk about that. What are some things we can start that might increase our spiritual life? All right, so read 1 Corinthians 15:58, talk about those 4 questions, and pause the recording, and then after your discussion, go ahead and hit play again. All right, we are back. Hope you had a great time of discussion. I know that was probably more questions than we normally talk about on Family Talk Time, but since Pastor Eddie ended his sermon with those 4 questions, I wanted to keep the discussion going, and I hope that through those questions that there's something in each of your lives that can increase your spiritual walk and your closeness with God. You know, one of the things 1 Corinthians 15:58 was saying that really got my attention is how we should abound in our walk in the Lord. Abound in your walk. And that scripture says your toil, another word for that is work, your work is not in vain. And so when we're working for the Lord, it's an act of worship. And we should abound in the work of the Lord. And so one of the things I want to encourage you to do this week is, as a family, as you serve others and as you're looking to minister to others, maybe write a thank you note. Maybe thank you note to a teacher, and maybe you've already done that. If so, if you've written some notes to your teachers, because our teachers have had a really difficult time. I know it's been challenging to do virtual learning on your end, watching it on computer, but your teachers who have been teaching you, they prepare, it's very difficult for them to teach in a way that they're not used to. They love being in live with you in classes. So it's toward the end of the year. Matter of fact, we're entering in the last week of our school year. So take some time and write a thank you note to your teachers and send that to them, to their schools. If you've already done that, maybe another thing you could think about doing is writing a thank you note for those first responders, maybe police or firefighters or emergency personnel, and just Google it, whatever town you're in, and send a thank you note to the police agency there in your town. Another great thing you could do is send a thank you note to the staff at hospitals. They've been working really hard with this COVID crisis, and whether it's Coral Springs Medical Center in Coral Springs, or it's Broward Medical Center in Fort Lauderdale, or Memorial Hospital in Margate, that's my hometown now since I moved from Coral Springs, or Boca Regional up in Boca, just you and your family just write thank you notes for the doctors and the nurses and all the technicians that are working really, really hard to help heal those patients with corona, and also at the same time keeping us safe as we flatten that curve. So do that. Abound in the work of the Lord, according to 1 Corinthians 15:58. All right, I think that'll really bless those who receive those thank you notes. And so we want to move into a time of our Big God Question. Big God Question is just a question about theology and doctrinal questions. And the question today is, what special act of providence did God exercise towards man when he first created mankind? Now, Pastor Eddie mentioned a little bit about being truth tellers and how God his gift is truthfulness, because he spoke truth. He spoke man into existence. And then because his word is true, we need to be truth tellers. And we need to be talking about the truth of Jesus Christ. But what specifically special act of providence did God exercise toward man when he first created man? Well, here's the answer. When God created man, he made a covenant with him that he should live and enjoy all the benefits of creation. God put mankind in charge of creation, but that he would die if he forsook the obedience that comes from faith. So he would die if he did not have faith in God. God commanded that first man, Adam and Eve, not to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and thus forsake the childlike dependence that we have on God. And you can read more about that in Genesis 2:15 through 17 and Galatians 3:12. And so when God said you should not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, you know, that could be confusing sometimes. And what really that is that just means God does not want us to be independent, make judgments independently of Him. He wants us to be dependent on Him. And that's our goal as Christians. We want to just live a life of dependence on God and practice that, the stability that Pastor Eddie talked about, the humility, the steadfastness, and the truthfulness of God. So I hope that helps you a lot. And just know we're praying for you guys. We miss you guys. I wanted to just, before I do my little magic trick, I wanted to show you moms and dads out there. If you're looking at our live stream, it says, one of the announcements, it says you can follow us on Spotify, and you can actually download the worship music that Park Ridge does every week. As a matter of fact, the songs that we did just this last Sunday is already on Spotify. And so I say a lot of times when you do family worship, you read the Bible, you pray, and you find a worship song you can sing. What better worship songs to sing around the family or in the car than the songs that we actually sing at Park Ridge? So the first thing you need to do is go in the App Store and download the Spotify app. And then once you're on the Spotify app, you have to register, it's free, your email and some passwords and that type of thing. And then you go down at the bottom of Spotify, you just hit the little search, the little Q, and you type in Park Ridge Church, or excuse me, Park Ridge Worship. Okay, type in Park Ridge Worship, the songs we sing, and it actually pops up, and there's the icon right there. And when you hit the icon, boom, Park Ridge Church, Park Ridge Worship, the songs we sing. And the songs that we sing even on Wednesday, or this past Sunday. It's right there. So what better way to keep praise and worship alive throughout the week in your family devotion than to just pull up Spotify and play the songs that we're singing on Sunday. And what a great time that is. So I hope you enjoy that. Find Spotify if you don't already have it. It's easy to download. And then Park Ridge Worship, the songs we sing. All right. Now it's time for me to show you a little bit of magic trick. So I've got, I carry this chapstick around with me all the time because, sometimes your lips get chapped. And I have this cap right here that stays on here. Now, I want to kind of show you this. Got the cap right there on the finger. I want to make sure you can see this, okay? So the way this works is really simple, okay? You want to pull the cap off just like this, and then there it is. It travels from one hand to another. All right, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to try to do it as slow as I can in slow motion. Okay, here we go. Slow motion. Slow motion. Slow motion. Slow motion. Watch this. Boom, it's gone. There it is. Right there. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that little trick. Hope you're enjoying Family Talk Time. We'll see you soon. We're praying for you, and God bless.